Hey guys, so here we are live again, and I hope you have lots of questions. With me is Preeti Shenoy, and I'm so excited because, you know, after all these lineup of authors, it's the first time that I have a woman author with me. So this is going to be a kindred spirit, I hope, and I'm like looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun and getting to know you mainly,
Yes,
Preeti.
absolutely, yes.
And
very exciting for me too.
It is?
Yes, absolutely, very.
So guys, I hope you have lots of questions for her. So we've got her here for an hour, and let's just ask her all the questions that you want to ask. You know, she's something of an expert on relationships is what I would say, because what can I say? Her books are romantic, no doubt about it, but they have some sort of a deep insight on relationships always. There's a new book coming out.
Yes, 100 Little Flames.
100 Little Flames. Yes,
it's just been
again
released.
about relationship only. But before we go into that, what I want to know is that who were the authors who influenced you when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, it was the same authors which all of us must have read growing up. It was Amar Chitrakatha, Enid Blyton's.
Yeah.
So I wrote a book when I was 7 years old, 7 or 8.
Okay.
But I was not a child genius. The book was
that was not published.
No, and I hope it never is.
Come on, we want to see it.
The book was 6 pages long, and
I want to know what relationship yarn did you give in that book?
nothing. I was just 8, so it was a cross between Robinson Crusoe and Famous Five. And,
nice.
And then there were a lot of illustrations because I also paint.
Okay.
So 2 pages were illustrations, 4 pages were text.
Okay.
So I have always written. You know, ever since I was a child, I have always written.
So if you're saying you paint and you do illustrations, so did you ever think of doing a graphic novel or something?
Not a graphic novel, but I do illustrated journaling. So at some point I will, you know, do an illustrated travel book. Because I sketch on location. So it's like 10 minutes and a scene is done.
What are you
So
saying?
I carry my painting kit.
Multi-talented. She's a woman, what can I say? Yeah, but so how early did you start reading?
Reading.
Were you a voracious reader always?
Always. See, my father had a transferable job, so we moved from place to place. So we had a huge collection of books, and the collection of books moved with us. So the only
friends didn't, books did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you learn to, you know, make books your friends.
Absolutely.
And wherever we went, my father would go take a membership in the local library. And we would go there and we would browse, and books were the only constant in my life.
I think that is the thing with transferable jobs, because that's where I found my love for reading, because transferable jobs.
Yes.
So by the time you make friends, you have your best friends with you in your bag all the time. So yeah, that was what was always the thing. It was always there with me.
Right.
And somehow I came to depend on the books a lot more.
True, because I feel books are like this discount ticket which you get to travel anywhere in the world. Maybe even a free ticket, you know, because you just open a book and you're instantly transported into another world.
Absolutely.
Which you do not get with anything else.
That's true.
With movie also, it's, I wouldn't say you're really transported into another world, because while you see it, book, you experience it. You experience
movie also.
True, but here, like through the character, you get an insight into what the character is thinking, the thought process, the description, and your imagination is working much more.
Much more.
There probably it's a director's vision or a cinematographer's vision.
Yes, it's a lot more visual in that sense.
Yes.
Sometimes a description, and like I've noticed in your books also, you really describe things very beautifully, especially places in the new book.
Yes.
You've described the place so beautifully that you feel like you're in that place already.
Yes.
And in that sense, I realized that, you know, though you are giving me a visual, but still there are certain shades in that visual that are mine, and that's what books do. You know, when you're a reader, the shades are yours. You don't, you know, you can get a visual, but the shades are still yours. So that is
and
a
you
great
have
part.
to fill in that picture. Maybe you will be it's like getting a coloring book where you fill in the colors.
Absolutely.
Like with a kind of this thing, whereas in a movie or something, you are given that, you know, you're just shown. Here you have to imagine it, you have to, so your Gopal Shankar might be different from my Gopal Shankar, might be different from a reader's Gopal Shankar. So because it's how we imagine it. So to that extent, I feel books are interactive.
Tell me, how many years, how long have you been writing now? First book was published in?
First book was published in 2008. But before that I was...
How old were your kids by then?
My 2008, my daughter was 7.
She has college-going kids, by the way. She doesn't look it, but that's...
Yeah, I have 2 children. Both are in college. My daughter was 7 and my son was 10.
Both love reading?
Both love reading.
How did you achieve that? Please tell us.
Oh,
a lot of us mothers want to know that in today's day and age. We don't seem to get our kids to read.
No, I think kids follow you. So I read a lot.
I read a lot, but my son doesn't seem to follow me at all. I'm sure a lot of mothers out there have the same complaint.
Yeah. No, then I feel give them, like I used to read to my children. When my son was
that too.
I think then you're on the right track. I think they'll go through a phase. I think they'll come back to books.
You think?
I definitely think
I have hope still.
No, I think so. See, from when my son was a 6-month-old baby, I used to read to him.
You know what is happening now is now the books come for my son and I end up reading them. That's what is happening. And he says, "Can you tell me the story after you read it?" It's like that.
But they maybe you can quick. I had banned screen time at my place. And
we do all of that, but he's still he's not like a reader, but then he's a visual person. So.
No, but I think they will change because
so let's hope. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that there is going to be.
No, but I also think it depends on the book. When my daughter got Death Note, she ended up reading back to back. I've never seen her so immersed in a book.
Yeah,
so I think it also depends. And my son, when he was a little younger, Harry Potter, everything back to back.
Yeah.
And
so
then
maybe
Lord of the Rings.
Not found his genre.
Exactly. If it's a thing that they love, then they get immersed in it.
Okay.
So, my son went through this phase where he finished Lord of the Rings and he said, "Oh no, I'll never find another book good enough to read." Oh. But later he did.
Yeah. Because we all feel that when a good book is getting over, you all feel that, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
But tell me, we can say there is a relationship thing in your books and everything, but there is romance. There's a lot of romance. It's about love. So, there's not that much written in the Indian scene where it's just about love. There are a couple of more authors who write about it. There's Ravinder Singh, but there's younger relationships. There's Rujoy Datta. What do you think of who in your caliber, people who are writing in this genre? What do you think? Who do you think is very promising? Who do you like to follow in your contemporaries, in your peer group?
I like the work of Kiran Nagarkar. I love his work.
Wouldn't call it romance.
No, it's not romance. Because and if you actually if you analyze my books, you would see that they're not really romance. They're not really romance because Life is What You Make It is about bipolar disorder. Secret Wish List explores the concept of can you make your wishes come true just by writing it down and doing nothing about it.
Okay.
And so if you take each thing, here if you take this new book, 100 Little Flames, it's about discovering yourself, finding the courage to stand up and finally tell your parents, what you believe in, which a lot of people don't have courage for.
So how interesting, because I thought it was a great relationship book also, because the relationship between the grandfather, that is Gopal Shankar and Rohini, was very, very, very interesting.
Yes.
And I think for me, I felt that was the biggest pillar of that book, and I think that was what drew me more to the book than the growing up. But maybe, as you're saying, that a different age group might find...
There are different layers, so probably...
But even in that, I wanted to ask you one more thing. In all our viewers out there, whenever you get a chance, and if ever you read the book, I hope you do. It's very, very interesting, 100 Little Flames. What I realize is there's a certain way in which you have kind of juxtaposition the younger relationship with the older one.
Yes.
And in the younger relationship, you see Ayan with his maybe girlfriend, maybe friend, maybe whatever, but literally first date, not even a date, and they kind of, make love, and, there is a certain forwardness to it in that. While on the other hand, you show Rohini and Gopal Shankar, and you've insisted on it that, they barely held hands. They barely held hands, and their love was pure.
Pure. I wouldn't call it pure, but
that's what you write. So what is it? I mean,
see, if you look at people from that generation, and if you look at how Gopal Shankar has grown up and how Rohini has grown up, they have grown up in this tiny village called Pungavanam, which and they have grown up. They were born in the 50s. probably, no, sorry, 50 she already got married.
So you don't mean to say that it's just holding hands, that means it's pure. That's not the thing.
No, that's not it. But
not
over here, it's more like companionship more than anything else.
Which is also a really great takeaway from the book.
Companionship and friendship.
Friendship,
both. Yes.
But in the meanwhile, you don't mean to say that if you're consummating, that means it's not pure, is not the thing that you're drawing at all.
No, I don't.
Because all the youngsters are going to feel really bad about it.
No. That's not true, because if you see my other book, if you see It's All in the Planets or The One You Cannot Have, that's very contemporary. That's very contemporary. So they even there are one night stands, and youngsters have sex, and so I don't mean to say that's impure.
So do you think there will be that only one love, like a Gopal Shankar and Rohini? There was that only one love, or do you think there can be more of the only one loves?
See, here's the thing. Gopal Shankar, he does love his wife dearly, even though he has the soul connection with Rohini.
True.
He does, when Padmaja dies, he does miss her. He does miss her, and he just, he craves for her. He does care for her deeply. So I have just tried to show the different facets of relationships. And at the same time, Ayan, even though he has friends, even though he's very close to his friends, when his friends call him up and say, we are coming to Kerala, his first reaction is, oh, I want to retreat into this shell and protect myself. He doesn't even want to meet them. And then he meets this girl, he gets drawn into it, he's not even sure what it is. And I think that's reflective of a lot of relationships that happen today.
The line that you've used, which is quite lovely, is about getting married to your best friend.
Yes.
And I love the way your character, who's the grandfather, says that line, and he says that it could be a girl, it could be a boy. And it was I thought it was so well said, because it's true, and it was very today, and I don't think it's about today, it's just timeless, that getting married to your best friend, because that's what is going to last you over the period of time. It's going to, and I think most of us who've been married for a few years, I just celebrated my 15th year anniversary. So we will say that yes, eventually it's easier if you're married to your best friend.
Absolutely.
Otherwise it can be a little tough.
Yes.
But yeah, it's great if your relationship and your marriage is with your best friend, and that part of your book really resonated with me, and I really liked that that part of it. And also for a lot of us who are will be in the age group where you're looking for a partner, I kind of feel that just tells you, if you can be friends, then that is the partner for you.
That is so important, rather than your physical compatibility.
That is also important, but
but your emotional compatibility is so important. Your wavelengths have to match. Because if that matches, the other things will follow.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, when you have spent many years in a marriage, you should still be enthusiastic about having a conversation with your partner.
But you see, Rohini is having certain conversations with her husband also.
Yes.
So it's not like she doesn't have a conversation with her husband.
True.
But yet when she leaves and she kind of is actually lying to her husband and coming and meeting this guy. So somewhere there is a lot of betrayal that both of them are putting their partners through.
True. But at the same time, she asks him a question. She said, if we were two women meeting, would society ever object? She asks.
Interesting.
That is, I feel so relevant. That line is so relevant. And when Shyamala assumes their relationship to be what it is not, she doesn't bother to correct. She said, that's her perception. He's still bothered, because he's still bothered about what others think. But I felt that was very relevant.
Is the famous line from a movie. And she uses that. She has these lines from movies throughout this book, in which the characters are guessing, which is quite
they have a game.
Enduring.
Yes, they have a game going on.
Interesting relationship of father and son.
Yes.
And what has made your father, which is your, so I would say your hero, Gopal Shankar's son, such a villainous person? I mean, in this book, there's no like a villain and a hero, but why is he?
But I have come across people who have, in fact, in Kerala, I came across this while researching for this book, and later I discovered this is there in other parts of India as well. What they do is they abandon old people in temples. They take them.
Oh yeah, that was a very big thing also.
Yeah, I found that very shocking. I found that extremely shocking. Like, how can you just go and leave they abandon them, they don't come back. And the people, and basically the idea behind leaving them in temples is that they'll be given food twice a day. So, and they don't want to keep them at home. They don't
want to take care of them.
They don't want to take care of them because it's very hard. It's very hard in the sense the old people probably have dementia, and and they will, like, I've heard of instances which really shock me.
We are a country which really kind of goes out and says that, family is important, we respect our elders, look at our culture, that's what we talk about. And yet, this is the same country where there is such a huge, the story points out, and when you point out that they're left in mental institutions, they're left in temples, they're
for
just
property, for property, and that's like so sad, that's so sad, and it's like they don't want to spend time with the old people.
There's another father-son relationship, where the father is so dominating that the son cannot find himself. Because he has lost himself completely, he has never found what is his calling, what is not, which again is so true in a lot of boys in my generation also. You see that the fathers just refuse to let go and are telling them how to form their careers, what are they doing, judging them all the time. That if it is not according to their standards, that means you're a loser. So, and that when you see, it's so heartbreaking to see a parent do that to a child.
See, but here's the thing, in this book, Ayan, left on his own, what was he doing? He was playing football, he was staying in that village, he didn't have the thing to go look for a job. He's happily settled down in his comfort zone. So where does one draw the line? Like I read, Tiger Mom, I don't know if you read, but there was a whole, So I feel here he's the tiger dad. He's kind of pushing him. He doesn't mean it badly. He fixes a job for him. He says, look, why can't you go work? See, what he doesn't, he loves his son.
But he just wants him to succeed. It's just that it's his idea.
His idea. He doesn't believe in Ayan's dream. And honestly,
Ayan doesn't really know what he's dreaming. He's not been brought up to really believe that.
So, and I think a lot of Indian parents are not willing to wait.
Also that relationship between that husband and wife, Jairaj and his wife, Ayan's parents. It's where the mother is ready to turn a blind eye to whatever the husband is doing, but just because he is her husband.
Because she's not an independent woman. She's not.
Which is again a story of a lot of Indian women. So again, very, very important, women to have their independence. Just don't ever leave that job.
That's in fact, in Secret Wish List also it's similar. She's stuck in this unhappy marriage, and she kind of doesn't have an income. And when you don't have an income, and when you're conditioned to believe that your husband is everything, that's what happens to Jairaj's wife too.
Correct.
And then the relationship just becomes very unbalanced. All the power comes to one person, and that's not really a great thing to have.
Danish is asking you something here. Hi Sonali, glad to be back here with yet another great conversation. My question for Preeti is that her humble beginnings from her blog to her best-selling status now, her astute insight into relationships and feelings always seems to take precedence over a complicated plot. How does she manage to do that with such ease? Also, how much does her painting influence her writing? Danish, thank you. Nice question. Sonali Book Club ki izzat rakh di aapne.
So, I think painting and writing for me go hand in hand. It's when words fail me that I turn to art, and it's not a conscious thing that I do, that I ease into relationship. There's a lot of work which goes on behind the scenes which probably readers don't see.
So what is your process of writing?
So it's like this, at any given point of time, I'll have like 50 ideas or 60 ideas in my laptop, in my, there's a folder in my laptop, good ideas. Which will probably be after a drink or late in the night. Next day morning, it won't be such good ideas, but anyway they are there. Because ideas are very fleeting. Then I take that idea, I ponder over it for months and probably weeks, it grows inside me. Then I take out that idea, then I start writing it. I'm very fond of handmade journals. So I'll start one new handmade journal for every book. So
nice. Yes. Like leather bound and all.
No, so it'll be something that struck my fancy, collected during my travel. So it'll be some, from Pondicherry there'll be a journal, there'll be one from Edinburgh, there'll be like different journals. So then I'll start writing and I'll start developing the characters. And when the characters are developed, then I go to my laptop and then I'm a plotter. So I have the entire story in my head from chapter 1 to chapter 30, what happens in each chapter. And this has happened to many writers, so I confirm that I was not crazy. Because characters don't listen to you. So sometimes the characters just are saying, and then I feel I just have to type what the character is saying because you're so into it.
Have any drawing of yours ever spoken to you so much that your character is formed from it, or a plot point has come out from it?
Not through my art, because art I do illustrated journaling. I sketch what I see in front of me. I do portraiture. So they are two different parts of my brain. So art, not really. I feel they are two compartments. I feel they don't.
So writing is separate from you, the way the idea don't really come from your drawing process, but they're coming from all sorts of a different compartment altogether.
Totally. Because drawing, I just see something in front of me that strikes my eye and I draw it.
Okay.
So writing is something where I make that journey inside my head, where I travel to places where I don't want to go. So
has Danish got his answer?
I hope he has.
He had quite a few questions on that. How do you manage to deal with your the complication? It's about the relationships only. What I want to ask you, another thing that I want to ask you is that when you're writing, what is your most favorite thing to do and what is your least favorite thing to do?
When I'm writing, I need my dog. So she's my armrest.
Most favorite thing.
Yeah, most favorite thing.
Dogs are my most favorite thing.
I love. Since both my children are in college now, my dog.
I miss my dog more than my child.
Oh, seriously? Seriously.
It's another bond altogether.
She's my little baby. So and she has to, she's a Doberman, so she'll come and stick to me. She'll come and push me. So she has to stick. Yeah. And I keep my arm on her. So that's how I type. So that's my favorite.
So actually the story is flowing from the elbow to the dog.
Yes, that's my secret. So my secret.
So that's the most favorite thing to do. What's your least favorite thing to do?
Oh, the doorbell. It annoys me. Doorbell or any disturbance,
which takes you away from the thought.
Because it's like you're in this fantastic, great world, and then there's this ting, and then you have to come crashing down. It's like, you get annoyed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's my least favorite thing.
Okay. So let's get to, Hemal is asking us, all your books have an underlying message. Example, It's All in the Planets was about destiny and will. So do you start with the message in the mind or the message just comes in the flow?
Message just comes in the flow, honestly. I start with the story because I don't write a story to give a message.
Okay, definitely so the message is like a secondary, it just comes through.
Yes, because there will be a concept and I would write a story on that concept, and then the message would come through, because obviously the story is coming because there is something to say.
Correct.
So then that's how the message comes.
Also the next part of Hemal's question is, and what message are you talking about in the latest books? I think in 100 Little Flames, I would say there are a couple of messages which I think in our chat we must have gotten through.
Yes.
There are relationships, no doubt about it. There are father and son relationships of two different generations.
Yes.
There are relationships between husband and wife, again two different types. There is a relationship between friends.
Yes.
And there is
finding yourself.
Yes. There is finding yourself. There is also
a complicated modern
love. There is best friend. Different various things. And like I said, yes, old age also.
Yes.
There is a lot to be said about old age. In fact. So for me, from this book, the takeaway for me, I know you keep saying it's coming of age story. So definitely, Ayan is the protagonist in the book. But when I read it, and I would like to know what you all thought about it, when you read the book, who did you think?
Absolutely.
For me, the hero of the story was Gopal Shankar, the grandfather, and Rohini, his lost love, who he nearly finds but doesn't really find, and yet, or his best friend, his childhood sweetheart, his soulmate, whatever the label you give it. But basically, I think it's quite a relationship which is unlabelable in that sense. And for me, that was my heart was with the grandfather, Gopal Shankar, through the book. And I wept for him, I laughed for him. So that for me was the story. So maybe somebody might find this a coming of age story. For me, this was again a romance. It was a love story for me. It was a love story between Gopal Shankar and Rohini.
Yes. No, it depends on how one interprets it.
I'm sorry, you as an author must have thought of it differently.
No.
But you put it out and the book is mine. So it's me.
No, totally. Like in fact, even I mentioned this to a couple of my friends. I said, it's only when you read the book that you find out that the real protagonist is Gopal Shankar.
Yes, he is.
Because it takes tremendous strength of character to do what Gopal Shankar did. But that's not revealed. Initially, it's all Ayan's story, and then you discover it. So, which is why I don't say what it is about, because it's ultimately up to the reader, you know, for someone.
Find, because there's so many plot points and there's so many different relationships. Go find what you think of it. Vishal wants to know, is there any plan to write a story for Bollywood masala movie? Will you?
There are talks going on, but
really?
Yeah.
There you have it. What sort of Bollywood masala movie would you write? I want to know.
No, I would rather my books be adapted into
so which
movies.
book of yours do you think will make a...
This one. Definitely the new one, yeah. But of course it depends on the director and the scriptwriter.
I think it's the grandfather's role.
Sorry?
I think it's the grandfather's role, I would say.
Yeah.
Anshul wants to know, like my inspiration, you know, I can't read it. Like my inspiration for my writing came from God and good versus evil stuff. I'm a fantasy and religion lover. How did you do work for new ideas?
How did I do work for new ideas?
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say.
How do I get new ideas?
Yeah, Anshul is saying what inspires you, because his he's a Anshul, you write fantasy fiction. Is that what you're saying? And your inspiration is good versus evil. So what is your inspiration? That's what Anshul wants to know.
See, my inspiration can come from anywhere. It can be a snippet of a conversation I heard. It can be something I read in the news. It can be something I saw. It can be something that just, you know, occurred to me in a dream. Like I just need, I mean, it's very difficult to pinpoint where exactly.
So what you're saying is this, you can get an idea in your dream and everything, but what is it that actually inspires you in life?
Inspires me, everything inspires
like
life.
How he's saying is religion inspires him, and good versus evil inspires him. So what is it? Is it, I think, I find the way your books are, I think relationships inspire you.
I don't know. I always, you know, people always ask me this. See, here's the thing. I simply write because if I don't write, I'll go mad. It's as natural as breathing to me. Because if I don't breathe, I won't exist.
Yeah.
So for me, I was writing. Even when nobody was reading me, I was writing. Right. Even when I was not a known author, I was, you know, writing. I was writing in my journals. I was writing in my blog.
We have a known author who's asking you a question.
Right.
Ravi Subramaniam wants to know, you're India's largest selling woman writer. How does it feel?
It feels wonderful. I wish I could lie and say, oh, it's no big deal.
No, but why shouldn't it be a big deal?
No, I wish I could lie and say that. But yeah, it does feel great.
Yeah, Ravi, I hope you got your answer. I love it, the way you ask various questions, Ravi. It's always very, very supportive.
And
yeah. No, that's it. Keep the questions coming while we chat. What are you reading currently?
Currently, I'm
What is on your bookshelf?
Yeah, currently I'm reading.
I just heard from her. Sorry to interrupt you. She has a reading wall. So there is a list of what she's reading. So
I have, in fact, blogged about it on 1st of January 2017. If you go to my blog, blog.preetishenoy.com, you can actually see how I made that reading wall.
Okay.
And so the goal was to read 40 books.
But what are the last few books? Can you tell me what was the...
So I read this author called Mark Gimenez, Color of Law. So that was a legal thriller.
Okay.
And that I just finished, and I'll tell you some of the books which remained in my mind rather than the last few books.
We love to have, we always love reading lists from authors, because then we want to get into those reading lists and pick out something for our book club.
Right.
So we chew every author who comes here, we chew their brains about their reading list.
I would love to talk about books. Paul Kalanithi, I loved his book, When Breath Becomes Air.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful writing. It's just fantastic.
So this was about
It's a non-fiction book.
Okay.
So he's no more. Paul Kalanithi is no more. So he wrote it in the last few days, and he's a surgeon, and the book is just fabulous, brilliant prose and very deep, very moving.
Right.
That is one book which struck with me. And another book is Goat Days by Benjamin.
Okay.
So he's a Malayalam writer, and this has been translated into several languages.
Good translation?
Fantastic translation.
Translated by whom?
I don't know by whom, but it's been translated into several languages.
Okay, interesting.
So, so you can read the book in English, Goat Days.
Okay.
So it's fantastic. It's about this immigrant worker who goes to Saudi Arabia and gets stuck there. It's just beautiful. And I've just come back from Saudi, so I was like, oh my goodness.
You were living it.
Yeah, I was living it.
Okay.
So that was one great book, and my all-time favorite, which I tell everybody to read, is Michael Morpurgo.
Okay.
So he actually writes for children stroke young adults.
How nice.
Yeah, and I just recently read this book, Across the Wild, Wild Sea.
Okay.
Fantastic writing. You just will not be able to keep it down.
So we've got a list of books now.
Yeah.
We're going to select from one of this. Maybe we should do one of these books for our next read. What say, guys? Write into us on that.
Yeah. I feel a book should be such that it pulls you in and immerses you totally.
And makes you forget what
everything.
it is. Makes you believe that's the true world.
Yes.
That's what we look for in books. Something that can transform you for that minute. But I'm going to make the list of this and actually maybe do a poll and figure out which one the readers would like to read now on the book club. And maybe we could actually take it up on the book club.
That will be great. I'll 100% join the discussion. If
Superb. And you know, I think that would be lovely because I think we have great discussions, but more and more that comes in always makes it better.
No, because always
I want to ask you one more question.
I don't know what you're going to ask.
Sonali's book club.
Because I saw some of the stuff that you did, and I felt, see, when you know, people like you do something like this, it becomes cool. So a lot of people look up to it, and it's reading is cool, you know. A lot of people do imitate celebrities such as yourself.
I never thought of it that way, but
no, it is.
I think reading is cool. I love it.
Reading is so important. So I'm so glad that you do something like this, because then you're getting a whole lot of people involved with your kind of reach, and then people are interested in reading, discussing. So I think it's a wonderful way of connecting. See, because authors will anyway read, you know.
Yeah, so you know, honestly, it's been great. We've been, you know, we've had really lovely authors coming in and doing discussions and talking about various things and all that. But the book club has just been growing organically for us. So when authors actually reach out and, like, you know, when Ravi asks a question on this, or, you know, when you want to come in and do this, I must say that it's very encouraging because, you know, this is something which is purely passion.
Yes.
And so in that, if there is people who are interested in it's doing this, then it's great. Let's do more of this.
No, I also think that if someone else has read that book, oh wow, did you read it? It's great to discuss.
I love discussing books.
Yes,
and you know what happens is that in the city, especially that I live in, if I'm going to have a book club discussion, first of all, it turns into like a lunch thing or a high tea. It becomes too social. Sorry to say it, but it has become very social. Secondly, with the traffic, it's really difficult for people to get together and it becomes smaller. But via this, I get, you know, to talk to people from different parts of the world who are part of the thing. And, you know, it just opens out and I get to know so many more people and their views. And it's just so amazing to do it. It just opened a whole new world. And it's because of my book club, I say I love social media. I love the
actually starting it on social media, I think just took it to that next level, because I had started you know, a reading group where I live, but then I discovered that it's just a very limited group, and I discovered it's the same books which you already know, which are on the New York Times bestseller list. There'll be a couple of same books which keep coming up. So therefore, when you do it on social media, where you're reaching out to so much, you know, so many more people.
You don't have to do the coffee and the tea and the food.
I'll have a discussion. No, plus look at the amount of people who can actually be involved, and especially when it is live, when people are asking questions.
And you know, the kind of the points of view that you get are so much more diverse, and that's the whole point of doing a book club, that you have so many different points of view.
Yes.
Anything else you would like to add about your book? When does it release?
Oh, it's already released. It's released on 14th of...
It's in the bookstores right now?
Yes, it's in all the bookstores right now. In fact, beautifully displayed, because I've been getting... In fact, the early reviews have started coming in.
Were you part of doing this illustration?
I was. I have done a watercolor, in fact, of this. Yes.
Oh, we have... Sorry, I thought we were... Anyway, we have many more questions. Greetings to substantial women, thank you. I'd like to know, how do you build a character and keep it intact throughout the story? Because the ideas for the story, in my mind, take twists and turns which tend to conflict at some point. This is Aradhana is asking us.
Yeah, Aradhana, it can either be character driven or it can be plot driven. Now, if it's character driven, you better build strong characters. You know, you have to know everything about the character.
And then your characters talk.
Yeah, because you have to know what is your character wearing, what does your character do on weekends, what does your character, like I know everything what my character does, what does he like to eat, what will he do in his free time, what books does he read, what shows does he watch, he or she.
So then the plot and the character doesn't conflict because you're so clear about your character.
You're very clear about your character. So if it's a character driven, you need to have strong characters. You know, what does he like, what does he dislike, what does she like, what
if it is plot driven? If
it is plot driven, then you will have to have good plot points. You know, where is your climax going to come? Where is your first turning point?
Then the next twist.
Yes, where is your first turning point? Where is your second turning point? Is there anything that the character does that adds to the turning point?
Okay.
So these things come with experience. When you start writing, when you start writing.
I think, Aradhana, what you need is the master class. I know, guys, the master classes have been long overdue. And I promise you, I am going to get them. I'm going to get them on in a lovely, well-formatted way. But, just give me some time on it. It's a great idea and we are going to do it well. And Aradhana, I'm sure you'll get a lot of answers at that point of time. Jeet wants to know, there's always a time when one reaches a writer's block. How do you overcome the same when you come across a block or when you're down?
You know, that's a lot of people ask me this, and I always tell them that.
Don't tell me you say I don't have a writer's block.
lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I feel writer's block is something which people invent. See, I'll tell you a small example. When you don't know what to write, okay, I'll give you a tip. For anyone who's telling me they have a writer's block, here's what you have to do. Imagine that you're describing what is in front of you to a blind person. Okay, you have to describe it entirely. We are both sitting here.
Right.
So you have to describe me, you have to describe this, you have to describe the sofa, this book, this camera to a blind person.
That's right.
Write it down. You have to describe it to a blind person.
Fantastic. Writer's block does not exist.
Seriously. And personally, I paint. You know, when I don't feel like writing, I paint, I go for a walk, I travel. Because you cannot force those words to come.
Absolutely.
You need, your mind also needs air.
Okay.
And how do you give your mind air? You travel, you go do something.
I have some more questions, but before that happens, I want to ask you that you obviously love the characters that you've written, you've lived with them.
Yes.
How do you let them go when the book is over?
It's very difficult, but when the book is over, there comes a time when you have to let them go, because...
But how do you do it? You have to do it, we all get, but how
I'll tell you a very...
Was it like saying bye to your kids when they went to university?
No, not really. So sometimes it's a relief, because they have been haunting you for months. They are living inside your head. So finally, when you finish that manuscript, it's that last thing. Okay, you know that...
Is there a character you didn't want to say bye to?
Up to now, no, because you know what? There are more characters waiting to come.
Nice one, nice one.
So these guys go out and... Those guys.
Harsha wants to know, what do you think about the evolution of Indian fiction writing scene? Which contemporary Indian author is your favorite?
Contemporary Indian authors, I like Kiran Nagarkar, I like Anita Nair, I like Manu Joseph, though I liked his previous 2 books more than his current book. And yeah, these 3 probably. Shiny Anthony, I love Shiny Anthony's.
Okay, and what do you think about the evolution of Indian fiction writing scene?
I think it's a lot more easier today to get published than it was 6 years back or 7 years back, and there's a lot of change which has happened in terms of the kind of writing that we have seen, and it's easier today to get published. That is one big change which I saw, I see.
Okay.
So today,
than it ever was.
Than it ever was. If you ever want to write a book, now is a great time. You know, write it now.
Guys, forget the writer's block. Start writing now.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, what did you think of the questions our readers have asked?
Nice questions.
Yeah?
And yeah, very, very interesting questions.
Akash wants to know which author inspires you the most.
All authors. If I read any author, I feel, oh my God, though this person has written so well. Neil Gaiman, Michael Morpurgo, Roald Dahl.
Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, he writes beautifully, beautifully. And it's so simple and it's like great.
Yeah.
I really like his work.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have influenced me, but inspired me definitely.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, now you know what to do. Near a bookstore near your house, go get this book, read it. Let me know what you think. According to me, the grandfather is the hero. According to the author, the young boy Ayan is the hero. you tell me, who do you think is the hero of this book? 100 Little Flames? Preeti Shenoy, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Sonali. It was wonderful being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.